Hi friends! Welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are going to be doing another reading vlog, and the book I'm going to be reading is a YA fantasy book that came out at the end of this past February, and it is The Otherwhere Post by Emily J. Taylor. I am really excited for this. I know I say that about like every book, but it's true. Although I am a little nervous about this one as well, because I read this author's other book, Hotel Magnifique, and that one, I wanted to love it. I loved the plot, I loved the world, I loved the minor characters, but there was one thing that kept me from loving it, and that was the main character in that book. She just annoyed me so much, and I almost didn't finish the book because of that. But everything else in that book, I loved. And so this one, the premise of this one sounds like everything that I love. And so I'm hoping that I like the main character in this one. And speaking of the main character, our main character is Maeve. And 7 years ago, she lost everything. Her world, her father, even her name. Apparently her father did something really bad and she had to pretty much throw away her old identity and go into hiding. But now, years later after that event happened, she receives a mysterious letter that says your father was innocent. So to uncover the truth, she ends up posing as an apprentice for the Otherwhere Post. And so at the Otherwhere Post, she will be trained in the art of scriptomancy. And this is a dangerous magic that allows couriers to enchant letters and send them to magical worlds, which that just sounds so whimsical, and I can't wait to learn more about that. So in order to apprentice here, obviously she has a fake name and a fake identity, and her mentor at this place is very suspicious of her and knows that she is working under a fake identity, and so he doesn't trust her, and so she has to like kind of try to gain his trust so she can try to uncover the truth about her father. But also, meanwhile, while this is all going on, she starts receiving threatening letters that tell her that she better stop her investigating or else. And so the whole premise of this just sounds really intriguing, and I can't wait to get into it. And also, it's kind of giving me the vibes of two of my favorite anime, which are Tagami Bachi, Letter B, and Violet Evergarden, which is just making me even more excited to read this. So, that's enough of me rambling on. I am going to start this book, and I will be back after I read a little bit with my first thoughts. This setting is my favorite season. It's taking place in autumn. So I'm only on page 11, but I just wanted to read a line. It tells us something about the Otherwhere couriers, and they're the people that deliver the letters from other worlds. Everyone knew Otherwhere couriers never delivered a letter to the wrong person. It simply was not done. I think that's just very intriguing. Like, how do they make sure that they never deliver a letter to the wrong person? I'm intrigued, and I want to know more about their job. Interesting. It says she couldn't even afford a left-handed quill. Does that mean she's left-handed? I'm left-handed. So that's just a little exciting. Hi, so I'm back with a reading update. I have made it to chapter 11, page 97. And so far, I'm happy to say that I am enjoying this. So this author, Emily J. Taylor, she is just really, really good at world building. Her world building in her other book was also very immersive, and so far I just find myself already super intrigued by the world of this book. So in this book, at the very beginning, you learn that there are 3 known worlds: Inverly, Barrel, and Leyland. And people used to be able to travel freely between these 3 worlds by going through these 2 doors known as the Written Doors. However, 7 years ago, something happened that completely destroyed Inverly, and the door was burned to the ground. And that fire spread to the door that connected Barrow and Leyland as well, and so that door was also burned to the ground. And so now people were no longer able to travel freely between the worlds. And so families and friends became separated in these different worlds. And now the only people who can travel across the worlds are couriers who are trained in the magical art of scriptomancy. And speaking of scriptomancy, it's the magic system in this book, and I'm already finding it super fascinating. So on page 8, scriptomancy is described as the art of enchanting any piece of existing handwriting, from a penned novel to a scribbled grocery list. And then it's further explained on page 17 when the book says, using scriptomancy, our couriers can add emotions to a letter that your loved one will feel in their hearts, scents they can smell, or memories for the letter to conjure. And so far, like, this whole magic system just feels like very fascinating and unique. So in addition to that, like, there are also like magical inks too that go along with this art. For example, there is an ink called Raven's Tears, and it's a pale blue ink that when you dry it in the sunlight, it deepens to the color of sapphire. So as we're learning about the world of this book and the magic system, the plot is also moving right along. So at the beginning, you get a little bit of world building, but then on page 11, something happens that pretty much sets off the plot of the book, and the plot has just been moving along at a brisk pace since then. So where I ended off in the book, Maeve has just gotten to school, and she's just about to take her first cryptomancy lesson. And so I'm very much enjoying the plot of the book, and I am very interested to find out the mystery of what actually happened with her father. And one other thing I want to mention is that we have been introduced to the love interest, Tristan. And Tristan's father is the postmaster at the school. And you also learn that him and his father are not on good terms. So I'm really curious to figure out what the story is there. And Tristan's father ends up assigning Tristan as Maeve's mentor. And Tristan makes a comment on page 62 where he says, but after what happened last year, I don't think it would be wise for me to mentor anyone again. So clearly something happened, and I need to know what that was. And tying into that, like, the other people at the school also seem to have it out for him, and he seems like kind of like an outcast. And so I'm like wondering what the story is there. And so yeah, so far I am really liking his character. I'm also happy to say that I'm really liking our main character, Maeve's character, so far as well. She is headstrong, and she would pretty much do anything to get what she wants to get, but I'm not finding her annoying, which is good. And so yeah, those are all my thoughts for now. I'm very interested in reading more of this and seeing what happens, because where I ended off, we also learned that someone is watching Maeve. Like, someone probably knows about her true identity, so I want to learn more about that. Hi, so it is now Sunday, March 9th, and I am here with a reading update. So I am on chapter 33, page 308. So I have about 100 pages left, so I wanted to give an update before I finished. And I am sad to say that I'm not enjoying this as much as I thought I would. And I think there are two reasons why that is. The first one being the pacing in here. So the pacing in here feels off to me, and I really felt it at the end of chapter 23 and the beginning of chapter 24 because there is an abrupt setting change. So up to that point, as reading it, our setting was the Otherwhere Post school, and I was really enjoying it, and I was starting to really get into like that setting and getting excited about seeing Maeve going to her different classes. But then all of a sudden at the end of chapter 23 something happens, and then we go to chapter 4 and suddenly now we're somewhere else. And after reading chapter 3, I'd put the book down for whatever reason, and then when I went back to it later, I started reading chapter 24 and I was actually confused. I was like, wait, is this like a flashback chapter to like earlier in her life? But then I remembered, I was like, oh no, wait, there was a change of setting at the end of chapter 23, but it was just so abrupt that I kind of forgot about it when I put the book down. And then like after that, there were other like major events that just happened really, really fast. Like they went by in the blink of an eye, and I felt like that kind of gave me whiplash a little bit. There were times when I was reading this book that I didn't want to put it down. And I'd put it down and I'd be like, oh, I can't wait to pick up this book again. But then there were times when I was reading it where I was just kind of zoning out. And I think a lot of that had to do with the pacing and the problems that I just mentioned. Then one other thing that has been taken away from my enjoyment of this book is recently our main character, Maeve, she started to get on my nerves a little bit. So she has this thing where she's a loner and it's really hard for her to trust people, and it makes sense because she spent the last 7 years living in hiding and hiding who she truly is because she is afraid that if people find out who she truly is, then they'll lock her away. And she's also had like bad experiences in the past where something like that did happen, where she told her true name to someone that she trusted and then they told everyone else and she was kind of ostracized. So that's understandable. But that being said, I'm like more than halfway through this book, and by that point you think she would trust the love interest, Tristan, because he has shown that he's trustworthy. But she is still on the fence about that and still trying to do everything by herself. And literally she almost dies in this book because she's been trying to do everything by herself. And the only reason she doesn't die is because Tristan and 2 of her friends end up finding her and taking care of her and helping her. So you think like after this whole thing happens where she almost dies and her friends save her, that she would realize that, oh, I can depend on my friends. And she even like ends up telling them like her true identity and they don't turn her in. So that again proves that she can trust them. And Tristan on page 302 says, you need to stop this. You're not alone anymore. Kind of telling her like, hey, you don't have to do everything by yourself anymore. We're here to help you. But then where I just left off, the chapter that just ended, something happens and then she runs off on her own again and she's trying to do it on her own again. And I'm like, no, we just like tried this and you almost died. And literally Tristan and your 2 other friends have proven that you can trust them. So I'm hoping that maybe that was just her first initial reaction and that in the upcoming chapter she will turn to Tristan and her friends for help. But yeah, those are just 2 things in this book that haven't been clicking with me. Now on the flip side, there are some things that I am really enjoying about this. And one of them is the magic system. Like, I love the magic system in here. It's been super well developed and fleshed out. And I just love how it's like both whimsical but also dark. And there's been some moments in here where Maeve is receiving these mysterious letters from this person that's telling her to stop investigating her father or else. And they send her letters that are like blood red ink. And the ink actually comes off the letters and like takes form and like tries to attack her. And those scenes have just been like so creepy and almost feel like horror-esque. But then also there's other sides of the magic that make it feel more whimsical. For example, there's these moths in the story that were created out of ink a long time ago by one of the most well-known and talented scriptomancers, and those are just like really cool and whimsical. And mostly harmless. Like the worst thing they do is they get ink on you. And then another thing about this story that I'm really liking is our love interest Tristan. Like, he is a very interesting and unique character, and he keeps getting fleshed out and more interesting as the story goes on. And he's very much like one of those tortured soul types where he went through some stuff in the past, so he kind of blocked people out because of that. But around Maeve, you see him opening up and you see that he has a mischievous side, and so I just really like his character a lot. And then also, there has been a romance budding between him and Maeve, and it's just been really cute so far. So yeah, those are all my thoughts at the current moment. I am now going to finish this, and I'll be back later with my final thoughts. He went after her. He went after her. The love interest knows what's up in this book. Oh, I love Tristan so much. I'm gonna read a line of something that he says. So he says, "But then you rode all the way here on Butternut, and I figured if the girl who's afraid of horses could sit on one, the boy who's afraid of scribing might somehow get his sorry act together." He's so precious. Okay, the story is taking a good turn. Hi, so I am recording a voiceover for my final thoughts on this book because I did film them, but apparently my microphone didn't work properly for whatever reason. So, here are my final thoughts on the Otherwhere Post. So the last 100 pages of this book, I really enjoyed them. I thought the pacing in the last 100 pages was really good. Our main character, Maeve, finally overcame her character flaw, and she stopped being annoying, which I was really happy about. And also the romance between Maeve and the love interest was just really cute and sweet as well. And this book is a standalone, so it did wrap up everything in the end very well, and I did like how it ended overall. And so overall, I mostly enjoyed this book. But then there were also some things that I had a little bit of an issue with, mainly just the pacing and the main female character getting on my nerves a little bit. And so I am going to rate this at 3.5 stars because there were things I enjoyed and also some parts that I really enjoyed, but also there were some things that I didn't enjoy. But I do feel like there were more things I enjoyed than not. And by far my favorite part of this book was definitely the magic system. I just loved the magic system in this book so much. I loved how it was whimsical but also dark, and it was very well fleshed out. You could tell like the author put a lot of time and thought into the magic system. So yeah, those are all my thoughts on the Otherwhere Post. Let me know down below if you read this book, what you thought about it. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye.